Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Twine to Twangle, Mitch Kennedy, Original D-Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMails24, Unimento, M926, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Canna Bear, Bogey, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Airy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
I don't need to hear that.
Yeah, actually, it's backwards. I do that backwards in a regular conversation where we can insult each other. When things get heated is when you should calm the F down. So I got the complete opposite of you.
Morning, gentlemen.
Whatever.
Just put you guys in the
Nathan
picture.
reprimands you. It's not my job.
Morning, Mighty.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So just put you guys in the picture. Arwin was in here last night, and he was speaking ill of the show, and the way he feels as though he's been treated on the show like a dog, as he quoted, and he's boycotting the show until someone notices.
Oh, come on.
Nobody care about Arwen, man.
That pull
Hold
of
on.
tongues wrong now.
Nathan, you're going to really defend this now, right? I know he's your man. I know he's been there from the beginning. But come on, it's got to stop. Happens to all of us. What the
She
freak,
acting like a
man?
little girl.
He was getting upset, like genuinely upset, and I think he just needs a bit of reassurance.
Well, he ain't
He's a
going to get no
child, that's
reassurance. She needs to cool down, stay away, and then when you feel better, come back. What does he want us to do? Say, oh, Arwen, come on back. You're the smartest guy here. Come on. Like 13-year-olds
It's
don't
not
even
about
act
being
like
the smartest guy. It's about being part of the team, and he should be with the team, regardless.
Yeah, but he ain't got to. If you're a grown ass man, you can't go cry about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree
he
with
feels
that.
as
Yeah.
though his input isn't being valued as much as other members, and he wants to be treated more equally. I'm just relaying you how what he said to us last night, and he was very upset.
Don't he got his show? Don't he got his own show?
Okay, hold on a second. What is he going to your show, crying how he was treated here, instead of coming on this show, waiting for the show to be over and waiting for the after show to be over, just asking everybody to hang out because he wants to speak to us, and then say what you got to say? You're going to go on another show and cry? Come on, man. I ain't got time for that. Nathan will probably pick him up and pat him on the back,
like a fifth
dust
grader.
him off, and send him forward.
You sound like a fifth grader.
Well, maybe if you just tell him that his presence is missed and valued, I think you might get over it.
I ain't got time for that, bro.
We don't got to tell him nothing. We're not going to tell him nothing.
Exactly. He wants to come on the show, come on the show. Nathan will probably drop him a little message to reassure him. Stop cutting me off. Nathan will probably send him a little message to reassure him that he's loved here and he'll be back.
I don't know. You gotta lay the law down. Tell him he's a grown ass man. Stop acting like a bitch.
Listen, Gene, that's one of the only things I agree with you with, what you just said right there. But that's not going to happen. He's going to get coddled. He's going to get his nipple put in by Nathan, and he's going to come back and do the same thing a month from now.
That's sweet.
He likes to rage quit a lot, so that's all on him.
I listened to
Well,
Arwen's
his
show.
argument
I heard his
was-
objections.
Sorry.
So Arwen's objections are perfectly sound because, well, I'm just be echoing what you've just said, but based on the fact that other people will be getting a point in, and I'll allow them to do so. If Arwen's got a contradictory point or wants to add to it and starts to interject, there's a good chance he'll get shut down because he's interjecting at a point that I don't want him to interject. Now, if that gets frustrating for Arwen, he's going to keep doing it to the point where he literally shouts through someone else who he's trying to have a discussion with. At which point, on the show that he rage quit from, I had to shut him down and get quite stern with him and say, no, you just can't, you're ruining the show, which he was. Now, that isn't to say that Arwen's not right to say, well, you should recognise why I'm behaving like that. I'm not getting a chance to get a word in. And when I try, you're telling me off for interjecting. So it's like, okay, I can appreciate that. That'd be frustrating because from my focus, I just want to keep the show concise and listenable. So my concern for Arwen's feelings in that moment are zero. Arwen knows that. That's a fault on my part, though. Should have a bit more empathy for Arwen, who just wants to get his two pennyworth in when it's valued.
Hold on,
and it is
in the
valued.
middle of hold on,
So,
in the
hold
middle
on,
of
guys.
Brian
Hello.
and this
Listen.
guy having a conversation.
Hello. My bad.
All right, sorry.
I'll just listen to you. I get you think I should stick a nipple in his mouth. Yes, thank you for your input. No, that's not how friendships work.
No, that's not what I was going to say.
Well, thank you.
He was in the middle of a conversation with John. It was Brian and John.
Yeah, and I shut him
I
down.
don't understand.
Yeah, and I shut him up because I wanted to hear that conversation, not Arwen's interjections. Well, that's frustrating from a personal perspective that I have no empathy for when I'm running the show. That's a failing on my part, which does require, when it's somebody that you know, you call it needing to be coddled or whatever you call it. No, because Arwen's a bit more sensitive than you. Doesn't mean that you have to disrespect that sensitivity in Arwen. You just have to have a little bit of empathy and go, why is he pissed off? Because it's not simply because I've shut him down in the middle of a conversation because he's yelling, which he was. There's a background to it. Well, you just have to express a little bit of empathy,
Nathan.
and you'd appreciate that. And then you go, okay,
Been
fair
going
enough.
on for how long?
And that would be it. It would
Been
be
going on
over.
for how long?
My bad.
So Carlos
Bloody
forever,
hellfire.
Forget it.
Not forget it. I'm in the middle of a sentence, Neil. Yeah, and like you get the same treatment right now as Arwen would get. I'm not prejudiced against Arwen. He knows that deep down. But at the moment, it doesn't feel like that. It feels very personal for Arwen. Now, you manly men might be able to deal with that and suck it up. And I'm not saying Arwen can't. He just has an underlying issue he wants to have iterated. Why not? You're not going to extend him that. Does he not deserve that? Bloody hellfire. What's wrong with you? Have a little bit of empathy.
Okay.
How many times does that happen to us daily?
Exactly. No, it's not even that, Gene. It's not even that. How long has he been on the show? I heard this conversation. This is at least the 8th time this conversation has taken place. Come on now, man up and just.
I think the word is sycophant.
Hold on a minute. Arwen's interjections are usually on point. What's the problem with this?
The problem is he's crying.
The problem is you go to another show and talk bad about this show, okay, which I love and I respect and I hold very high. Instead of coming here and airing out your issues, you go on another show and complain. I don't like that.
What's wrong with that? That's the perfectly reasonable thing to do. He did the honest and
the man got his own show.
Their back. That's perfectly reasonable. Look, we know Arwen. You're telling me you don't know him? You know him. Now, people have got their flaws.
It's time to get treated like a man, like everyone else.
I got that. Yeah, I got that. The sentiment has been. Do you want me to echo it? Arwen should man up. Okay, well, that's going to be successful, or totally do nothing, other than express your manliness in this circumstance if you were in that position that Arwen's in. But we know Arwen. We know he's got faults. We've all got faults too. But you're saying because they're not the manly man faults that you wouldn't have, you're not going to accept them? That seems totally unreasonable. Just saying.
Yeah, but if you would have dealt with it differently a while ago, you'd see a different Arwen. That's all I'm saying. That's just my opinion.
You think how I deal with Arwen will influence my relationship with Arwen? How Arwen is, it'll have no bearing on that. Zero. He's a fully grown man. Do you think he's going to change?
Then why didn't he act like it then?
Because that's how he is. That's who he is. That's who he is. And we love him for it. If you can't, that's your bad.
You want him to go around trashing the show? That's fine. I don't care. Then.
He's not
You don't
trashing
care.
the
I don't
show.
care.
He's expressing his disapproval in the way Arwen does it. I'm not going to hold Arwen's general nature against him. I accept what Arwen is and how Arwen is, and I like him. So if he's upset, I don't like that. That's the bottom line here. Nothing else matters. If he's right, if he's manly enough, who cares?
It's not about being manly.
Time's a good healer.
Hey, Neil, do you think relative density disequilibrium is interesting?
We're not talking about that right now.
He's making a comparison.
I don't care.
Well, if it hadn't been for Arwen's interjections, then that may never have come about.
John, you're missing it. It has nothing to do with Arwen's interjections. Nothing at all.
Absolutely everything to do with it, as just exampled. Arwen's interjections, specifically against me trying to shut it down non-stop, and Sleeping Warrior's tenaciousness in regards to wanting to discuss gravity, led to Arwen's interjections, which led to the biggest boffins we have on our side discussing
I'm not
this.
talking about that.
I am, and so's Johnny's drawing a comparison to Arwen's interjections specifically. Something that he's getting, or he feels, from what I understand from watching his show, has been unfairly treated. Now, right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It is specifically about his feelings when it comes to somebody that you're friends with. When we're like, our opponent feeling, now this is Arwen. This isn't some opponent trying to punt a globe and then attacking you personally. If
Okay,
Arwen's
what about
taken...
Paul's feelings? And what about Paul LVA's feelings? They don't care, just Arwen, right? They don't matter, just Arwen, right?
What are you
It
talking
doesn't
about?
matter how he treats that,
What are you talking about?
right?
Number one,
Okay,
Paul
Nathan.
LVA I've known for about a year. So in terms of my connection to Paul, okay, he's
It's
very
not a matter of
financially
how long you know him.
Why is it that I struggle to get a sentence out when I'm talking to you, Neil? What's the problem?
I don't know. Maybe I'll go run away and say you treated me bad, and I won't come back and pout and go on other shows and complain. It has nothing to do with Owen's interjections. It has to do with the fact that he's pouting about it. So freaking what? All right, you say he's a sensitive person. Fine, I'll deal with it. I'm done.
Because his interjections have been shut down specifically by example. When Owen says he feels like he's being treated like a dog, it's because he's desperately trying to get his interjections in, and I am shutting them down and saying you're ruining the show because he's having to shout to get them in because they're not being allowed. Brian. John is saying if it wasn't for Owen's interjections, which is the thing he's got a gripe about in this regard, we wouldn't have got to the point of relative density disequilibrium second order effect of entropy. That statement rolls off my tongue not because I am smart, because the smarter or smartest people in our group have sat around and discussed this as a direct consequence of Arwen's interjections, the thing he's got a gripe with. So you think, oh, man up. I think, no, better pay attention to this.
Okay,
I
cool. We got a video?
I knew you would turn it into his favor. I knew it was a waste of
Hold
time.
on.
Knew it.
No, Neil, you are right. He handled it wrongly if he went somewhere else instead of going to Nathan personally. So you
That's
are
what
right
we're
about
saying.
that. But that's something that can be dealt with separately. It's not involved in what we were just discussing.
Exactly. The aftermath and how he's behaved as a result, something that you can deal with separately. But the wankers of this world will only address that. I would prefer to look at the underlying cause and then the aftermath. And if you're going to say, oh, that's wanker behaviour, okay, yeah, maybe it is. But as a consequence of what? Well, that's where you have to have a bit of empathy and listen to his gripes. And if you want to say man up to him, well, then he won't be your friend very long, will he? That's the bottom line.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Ken.
Do we got video?
And yes,
Hang
Neil,
on.
and just one more thing. Yes, Arwen is a little bit more sensitive than the rest of us. That's a quality, though. So you don't just smash it into the ground and tell him to man up.
All I'm saying is you take his side all the time. Let me finish. He freaking ran Paula off the show. She's back now. Ran Paul off the show. He's back now. Would have ran me off the show. Told me to go F myself many a times. And it just never gets dealt with. He always seems to take his back. I understand he's been there from the beginning. I'm not telling you to kick him off.
So deal with it.
Saying.
So man up and deal with that.
I have.
Good. Sounds like it.
Hey, we
All
know
right,
we know
I
how
got
those
today's-
qualities fare
hang on.
online. We know how they fare online.
Can I finish?
Just while my kids are still in the room or in the next room, could probably overhear us. Please don't swear. That's the only thing I ask at the moment, just for the next 10 minutes or so.
How about
Arwen's
just
main
not-
fear is that when he leaves the show, people are relieved and glad that he's left. He doesn't want that feeling. That was what he put across last night. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, then change the way you act.
Nathan, I put today's review video, so you have it. Thank you.
Thanks.
How dare us treat Arwen like anybody else? How dare you guys?
Can we change the subject, please?
Sure.
What's the video about, Tent?
6 years old. It's Joe Rogan again with Lawrence Krauss, and it's hysterical at some points. They don't even know their own
was on
history.
him recently.
I'm still describing.
Gene, why do you do that, Gene?
I was
God,
still
I thought this guy
describing.
was
Jim.
done talking.
It's okay. It happens. No. So what he gets the whole Eratosthenes story all screwed up with facts that aren't facts, which the story ain't fact to begin. I mean, it's just hilarious at some points. And then again, remember, 6 years old. So put on your 6-year-old previous hat up. But again, I want to isolate maybe in the pre-show. We have to realize what they're doing. We are globe debunkers. They address us as flat earthers. This is the way they get to breathe another day. Okay, I don't care what the earth is. I know it's not what they're telling me. That's where our argument has to be, to where the person that we're talking to doesn't have some ammunition from them. Oh, you're one of those flat earthers. You're flat earthers. Okay, so no. I'm a globe debunker. Yeah, but if you debunk the globe, then you're a flat earther. Maybe, maybe not, but I know it's not a globe. See, we got to get it there. Because if we don't get it there, then they're not on our side while we're showing them the research and the proof that we've uncovered from the agencies that say it's a globe. So, like the Black Swan, like how navigation works, like all these different things, you know, if we debunk the globe and we're globe debunkers, I don't care what they call me. But they're not setting up that way for people. We're just a bunch of dumb flat earthers. That's the way they want to argue this.
As you're
Okay, so Mishukaku was on Joe Rogan recently. I'm gonna listen to it today, see if I could trim out any parts that are interesting.
You said he was on today?
Recently, I think within a few weeks.
Yeah, I've seen his appearances lately. They're all aiming towards this black hole. We're in the black hole. It's dangerous. Then all these other YouTubers put Neil deGrasse Tyson's face on videos and Michio Kaku's face with a glaring, scary title about it's the end of whatever. And then you go to watch it, and they got one excerpt of Neil deGrasse and one excerpt of Michio Kaku, and then they run their little narrative on it. So a lot of these are that way. So it's like, okay, well, why is this trend happening? If Michio Kaku talked about it on Joe Rogan, that's fine. And then all these other things are just, they're starving for content maybe, and they have to go borrow a face, a few lines, and then make their own show maybe. But the narrative is we're in the black hole. It's almost the end. And today, whoa, wait till you hear this. Our internet worldwide might go out for months and months. And unlikely event, they predict it to be before the very next U.S. election. Oh, I wonder what that would cause. Okay, and you know why? It's due to solar winds. Solar winds in vacuum of space. Solar winds, as they describe it, very dangerous. And just before the next U.S. election, where they time it, it's going to take the internet out, and people won't communicate in some areas for months, maybe longer. Oh my gosh, I won't know who the president is.
I've been saying this is going to happen, though, but I didn't
That's so
predict it to
dumb.
be like that.
These articles, man, what a laugh every morning.
Adam.
So it's just going to take out the internet,
Yeah.
not electronic.
No, and electronics too. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's and power lines.
Well, now a strong enough impulse could take out all electronics. That's
Yeah.
possible.
EMP is what they're talking about. They're just going to blame it on the sun. The sun gets blamed for so many things these days.
Poor guy.
It's no good. I've just bought an electric lawnmower. Got rid of my petrol one.
That's funny.
Once you started, you're going to cause it, Adam.
Well, the funny thing about that is, if there is an EMP, no car, unless you have one prior to the mid '90s, will work.
Wait a second. Even a car, not an electric car, just a regular gasoline run car won't start.
Depends on the
Correct.
car.
There's a computer in those that manages all the electrical systems.
What about the old? Say you got something from the 70s.
Yeah, no worries. Right up till about
Before
like,
fuel
say, the
injection.
90s, when you've got computers running all the ignition systems and such. Well, if you had an EMP, they'd all fail, and then all the cars from the 80s and such that didn't, that was just mechanical. You know, I've seen Hoovie's garage run an old Merc diesel without a battery. You know, he just got it running, and it was nuts.
Wow.
You know, the kind of things you can do with old cars. They can just, you know, engines want to run, but for the fact they've got a computer in their way.
Yeah. Well, when that happens, make sure you're in the country. You have to go down to 1 horsepower.
Or you could go to Cuba
Oh,
and
hey.
get some of them vehicles.
What you need to do is go get you a bicycle, get a weed eater, get a length of motorcycle chain. You'll need to get a gear drive and convert it to a gasoline powered bicycle.
2-cycle weed eater.
Have you guys seen the TikToks of this guy using a used motor oil as fuel?
Yeah, a deuce and a half engine can use any kind of oil as fuel.
I seen a guy using water. I don't know if it's real, but
No, that shit's fake. But I saw the guy on the farm using the diesel. I think he strains it a few times, but yeah, he's using oil as fuel.
You can. There's cars you can put conversions on that you can use, like cooking oil or pretty
Yep.
much any kind of oil
I
as
knew,
fuel.
are you serious?
I knew a guy who would go to the restaurants and pump out the oil from their cooking, fryers. Instead of them paying a service to pull it out, he'd go take it out for free. And he had a YouTube channel too. And he'd store them in these big plastic containers, and he'd strain it, get the French fries out of it, onion rings, whatever. And then once he got it filtered out a little bit, he'd go to his truck, he'd pour it in there and start his truck.
Wait a second. You're saying it could run off that?
It's a diesel. It's
Yes,
like
as a
diesel.
fuel source.
Also illegal. That's why your fuel's clear. So they can dip your tank and see if it's got any colour. If it has, you haven't paid tax on the fuel.
Yeah, farm diesel. We know a thing or two about it.
Well,
Well,
that's
that's different.
That's
So
just tyranny.
in farmyard trucks, it's red, but because it's on the farm. So if you're driving around with red diesel in your tank, you're obviously not farming a field. So again, that's illegal because you're not paying the same tax on the fuel. I don't know if there is any tax on red diesel, but there's, I assume, some tax.
Yes,
Hold on a second.
yes, there
I
is.
can put
And
in
you
my
can
car what
also-
I want to.
No, you can't.
Hold
You
on.
have to pay
There-
tax on the fuel.
There is a red. Let me say something. There's a red dye in the farm diesel, and you can get fined. But if you strain it through kitty litter, it loses the red dye.
Okay, instead of trying to beat them that way, I don't understand. You're telling me if I come up with a car that could run strictly on oil, then I can get in trouble for that?
If it ran on anything that's not had tax paid on it,
That's ridiculous. That's tyranny. Let me ask you
You
another
can't.
question.
Hold on.
I love it.
Hold on, Neil.
If you
can't
find out
use-
about taxation on fuel, and you go, "That's tyranny." No, that's life.
No, well, hold on. You can't use the public motorways if you're going to do that, Neil. You can do that. You just can't use the public
This
motorways.
is bullshit. Who says it's theirs? I'm sorry. Anyway, I was going to ask another
The
question.
public, the ones that built it, it's theirs.
The people that built it, right? The people.
The public,
People built it, right? Regular people.
the public.
Back and forth, back and forth. One thing about
Tax-paying
farm
Americans.
diesel,
Tax-paying Americans.
the funny thing about farm diesels is it's very corny.
So yeah, Neil's talking in English and Refracted Curvature is talking in legalese. What's the problem here?
No, I don't speak legalese.
But if you don't understand the law, how can you call it tyranny?
Because I should be able to do what I want with my vehicle.
Do you?
Yeah, that's right. It's not even my vehicle anymore if it's registered. I forgot.
No,
Here you,
that's
hold on,
not
hold on,
even
hold on.
true. You
just
don't
fell
even
hold
have
on.
a vehicle.
Yeah,
you just fell into a trap right there. You said vehicles. You got to call it your property.
Conveyance.
You're not a driver.
A conveyance is acceptable if you're going to get into this nonsense. But the bottom line is the people who are governing this just won't let it happen. You're not going to free man your way out of the taxes and laws surrounding driving. You're just never going to do it.
Right, because they're apportioned. Apportioned taxes are fine, Neil. You don't have to like them, but they're in the Constitution.
The Constitution that they don't uphold themselves. Funny.
That's why we need AI to feed all the laws to AI and like red to red flag stuff whenever, we miss the law. So I was thinking that's one way AI and machine learning could help us.
No, that's why we need a Bolshevik revolution all over.
I don't know about that. Nobody, I ain't saying that the system's perfect, but revolutions are not pretty affairs.
Hold on a second.
They're not.
When
because
that
it's
happened,
brother
John,
against brother. It's brother against brother, Neil. That's
yeah,
what a
when they
revolution
treat me
is.
like a brother, I'll treat them like a brother. When that happened, that
Who were
sent
they?
shockwaves through all the world powers, scared them half to death.
Who were they?
When that happened?
No, it's not the
When
world
the
powers. No,
Bolsheviks took over
Neil.
the czars. Okay.
Not the world powers in this instance. What John's trying to illustrate to you is this is something that's accepted at a societal level. So I'll bring it onto the globe. It's nice and easy to compare, in fact. When we attack the globe, we effectively are attacking the subject at a societal level, not at a powers that should not be level. Now, it may be the case that historically that is how it's been disseminated, but now it's not. Who comes up with the refracted refraction? Well, we do. What do I mean by we? I mean we the people come up with those overcomes for the globe. In other words, it's become self-perpetuating in that regard. Well, at that point, who are you attacking? Well, it's a bit like with Arwen. Yeah? You can tell these people to man up and accept that it's not a globe, but they're not going to befriend you for it. You have to express some empathy. If you care, right? Some people don't. I'm not going to mention any names, me specifically. If you want to believe in a globe, at a societal level, it's acceptable. Well, that's easier for your general Joe Normie. Well, who am I to tell him to take the hard road when there's an easy one available to him? Who am I to that particular individual? Well, I'm nobody to that individual, am I? So therefore, why should I have the empathy? How does it benefit me? That seems selfish when you're talking about empathy specifically, but that is how it is. You will perhaps make a societal change incrementally by disseminating the information to those who are willing to accept it. But that's all you can do. But trying to force people's hand, you're not going to have much success that way. And when John says it's brother against brother, that's what he means. When people come on the panel, they are the great unwashed as we are the great unwashed. We are equal when they come onto the Discord server and tell us how they believe it's a globe. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. It'd be miles better if they were all, I don't know, M. Scott Veach. That'd be miles easier. Your vitriol would be far more justified. But it isn't.
But John also feels that if everybody realized Earth is flat, it would be bad. It's better that everybody thinks it's a globe because he thinks there'll be anarchy. Right, John?
That's a time-based thing.
No, No, you straw man me there.